How to get a man to chase you. If you're tired of feeling like you have to run after him to get him to love you, to show you the devotion you crave, to get him to adore you, or even just put in basic effort into the relationship, like texting you regularly, or going on dates regularly, or simply sharing with you that he cares, then this is going to be the key to unlock all of your desires with your man. So stay tuned for that. I'm Brody Boyd with Magnetize Your Man, and for over 20 years combined with my wife, Antia, we've been helping thousands of successful women all over the world to get a loving, long-term committed relationship with a man they desire fast. So let's go ahead and start diving into this. So I'm going to start answering questions today as well, but first I have a little training piece that's going to help you on how to make him start chasing you. So this concept is all about validation. Men crave validation and women crave validation, but we crave them in different ways. So I want to tell you first about what a man craves, and then we'll go into what you crave and how you can get him to start chasing you and giving you exactly what you desire in your relationship. So men are born with a fundamental question inside of them, which is, do I have what it takes? Am I good enough? Can I win? Can I achieve? Can I be recognized and respected by society, by people, by my woman? And so men are constantly looking for the answer for this question in relationships and in their dating. Do I have what it takes? And so they'll spend a lot of time looking for the answer for that. They'll look for the answer sometimes by having sex with women, having sex with multiple women, or in a committed relationship or with a woman that they start to have real desire for, real feelings of love for, which we'll talk to you about how to create that as well. They will start looking for that answer with their woman. They'll ask, do I have what it takes with her? Can I win with her? Can I make her happy? Can I get her to respect me? Can I get her to admire me? Can I get her to appreciate me? And if a man feels that he's falling short with that answer, with you, he's either going to become a shell of a man over time, or he's going to start detaching from the relationship and stop putting in the effort. He's going to start looking elsewhere to get this question answered. Am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? And so that's why using feminine polarity and magnetic feminine communication that we teach, you can start activating within a man the idea that he can be a hero with you, that he can have a hero instinct to start pursuing a relationship with you and actually wanting to make that happen. And then otherwise, like I said, he will be looking elsewhere. He will be finding that answer in other things. Now, an insecure man, a man who is, let's say, not as evolved, hasn't done the work on himself as much or worked through some of his challenges, he's going to crave that external validation in an unhealthy way. He's going to start looking towards the outer world to get that answer, which the problem with that is he will never get that answer from the outer world. He will never get enough of that validation that he is enough. So he'll start looking for that through sex, like I said, through making money, and through superficial things or things that are unhealthy, such as video games, crime potentially, or he'll just check out. If he can't feel that he can win in the real world or even in video games, he'll start checking out with drugs, with pornography, things like that, so he can feel, at least in some basic bare minimum level, that he is good enough. Now, a healthy man is actually going to get that validation internally. He's going to check in with himself first to answer that question, do I have what it takes? And then from that point, he's going to operate from that place in the world and with his woman. And his woman will really be the icing on the cake, that he knows he's already good enough, but that the validation from her, or her really needing him, wanting him, respecting him, trusting him, appreciating him, valuing him, is going to be the icing on the cake, that he says, oh, well, this is actually really good. Now, I already value myself, but my woman also values me. Okay, I'm doing good in the world. I'm making an impact. Now let's flip it. Let's flip it on to you. Women, they are born with the fundamental question, am I lovable? Am I adored? Am I cherished? Am I desired? Am I beautiful? So women will operate in their lives with this question constantly running in the background unconsciously to look for the answers. And they will seek that in their relationship, and they will know in their relationship that they are good enough when a man is cherishing them, adoring them, checking in with them regularly, telling her that he loves her, showing her that he loves her with his actions. Now, the problem comes for women when they are seeking that answer outside of themselves. They are seeking that answer in the world, which the world will never give you the answer because the world is incapable of answering that question, really, or giving you a full affirmation that you are lovable, because it's impossible to have every person in the world love you all the time and show you that they love you all the time. And for a man in your relationship, it's impossible for him to show you that he loves you all the time. And he will inevitably fall short, as we do, because we are humans. And then if he falls short, if he one time makes a mistake or says something that's uncaring, you'll start questioning, why am I really lovable? He's pulling away. He said something hurtful. Does this mean I'm not lovable? Does this mean I'm not beautiful? And then they'll crave even more. That woman will crave even more validation from him. She'll start chasing him, clinging on to him, or she'll turn to social media or to sex or to alcohol, drugs, like we said, unhealthy ways of trying to get this question answered. Now, a woman who isn't in a relationship, unfortunately, will often turn in our modern times towards social media or towards online dating sites to get this question answered, am I lovable? So she'll start posting more sexy photos of herself. She'll get validation from the comments on those photos from random guys around the planet saying, oh, you're beautiful, you're sexy mama, ha ha ha, ho ho ho, hubba hubba hubba. So they'll get this validation from all these drooling men on their accounts, and then they'll start ramping it up even more. They'll put sexy videos up, or they'll start an OnlyFans account, or at the worst, they'll get into pornography because they're seeking this validation from the external, from men, from others, that they are good enough, that they're desired, that they're lovable, that they're beautiful. And they'll never get the answer that they seek because it's impossible to get that validation externally. And so from a man, they're constantly pushing to get that from him. And what ends up is they end up becoming insecure, anxious attachment. They will end up chasing the man. Like I said, they will move into their masculine energy, trying to manage him, meet his needs, provide for him, give him enough gifts, enough things. And they'll tell themselves a story. If I just do enough for him, he's going to finally love me. He's going to finally value me as a woman. He's going to find me beautiful. If I just get enough makeup done, if I get the right clothes, if I get enough surgeries, if I improve myself in all these different ways. And the problem with that is, again, she'll never get the answer that she seeks. And that's one reason why so many women turn towards assholes, jerks, guys who don't show them that they love them, because they're hoping, if I can convince him, if there's a man who's not really loving me or not really giving me the attention I want, but if I can convince him, if I can change his mind and make him see me as lovable, as beautiful, then I've won the game. Then I finally know that I'm good enough, that I'm lovable. I'm a great woman. I'm a beautiful woman. But that'll never happen again, because the man, he will never get to that point, likely, that the woman is envisioning. And even if he does, he's inevitably going to fall from grace through some mistakes or through human flaws, or he'll revert right back into his assholeness, and she'll never be happy. And so it's a miserable journey. We see this oftentimes with classic stories, the feminine journey in romance novels and in stories like Beauty and the Beast, where a woman is choosing a beast, hoping to turn him into a prince. And then she'll be happy. Then she'll have everything she needs once she can turn that beast into a prince. But the problem is that's not reality. And what if you also didn't have to choose a beast? What if you didn't have to go through the pain and the struggle? What if you can have your king now? You could have your prince now without having to do all that work, without having to chase him down, without having to make it happen. So that's what we teach. And the key is getting rid of that external validation and moving it internal. That you can be validated now that you are good enough, that you are lovable, that you are beautiful, that even if the answer isn't that you're beautiful, the key is asking the question yourself rather than asking it of the world. Asking that question internally. So even if you ask the question, am I lovable? And your answer comes up to be, well, I don't think so yet. Or I have this issue and I have this issue, but I also love this about myself and that about myself. That's great. That's amazing. Because now the key is, again, you're asking the question yourself. You're relying on your internal validation rather than the external validation. External validation can also be thought of as like having an emotional umbilical cord that you're just looking constantly throughout your life to plug it into somebody. Please tell me I'm lovable. Please tell me I'm desirable. Please tell me I'm beautiful. or show me that I'm lovable, show me that I'm beautiful, show me that I'm good enough. And again, that'll never work because also it's a lot of responsibility on the man. It's a lot of responsibility for him to hold your validation in his hands, that he has the power to determine whether you're lovable or not. That's a lot of responsibility for somebody, and it's a lot of pressure as well. And a man will often feel that responsibility and feel that pressure. And especially if he has any insecure attachment within himself, any avoidance tendencies, he's going to shrink from that responsibility. He's going to say, no, I don't want that power. I don't want to have that responsibility of holding your validation constantly in my hands. It gets exhausting having to constantly show you and prove to you that you're good enough, that you're lovable. And so a man will typically pull away because of that. And so the key is internal validation. It's literally asking the question yourself, doing it consciously to start. And I would recommend that you do that for the next 5 days, every morning or every evening or sometime during the day. Literally write it on a paper. Am I lovable? And then start writing the answers, whatever comes up. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect answers. You may start off with, yeah, this is lovable, and I love this about me, and I'm good in this way, and I did this for my parents, and I did this, and I love this trait about myself. And then I also have these things that I'm working on, and these issues, and these things from my past. That's okay. The idea here is that you're starting to ask the question yourself. You're starting to turn inwards rather than looking outwards for the answer. Because remember, feminine energy is internal. Feminine energy is about focusing on yourself. It's about internal validation. Masculine energy is about the external. It's about looking towards others. It's trying to control others. It's trying to manage others and manipulate them to get that validation, to get what you want. And it'll never work because you've also destroyed the polarity. You've also destroyed the chemistry in that process. So we have to reverse that, and it all starts with you. And it starts here and now with this training. And I'm going to speak that over you now. To start with, you are lovable. You are beautiful. You are desired. You are desire-able. You are adore-able. And even in a small way, you have to start claiming that, affirming that for yourself, and breaking off the words of the enemy, breaking off any phrases that have been spoken over you in the past or actions that have happened to you that have shown you or told you that you're not lovable or that you're not beautiful or that you're not desirable or adorable. And you have to start reversing that, because that's how you get a man to start chasing you. Once you're validated internally, a man will start meeting you there. He'll start validating you as well, because you already have the cake. And this is how you get the cake and eat it too. You have the cake of being validated yourself internally. Now he gets to provide the icing on the cake, which is the external validation. Him saying and showing that he loves you through his actions of actually chasing you. Because here's the other thing. People tend to treat you how you treat yourself. If you treat yourself as lovable, if you believe you are lovable, if you value yourself and take care of yourself through self-care and invest into yourself like you're doing here, you are proving to yourself over and over again that you are good enough. You're worth investing into. You're worth prioritizing. You're worth loving because you love yourself. So that's how we reverse that tendency and start to attract him adoring and desiring and cherishing you and actually chasing you for a relationship rather than the other way around. It's one of the big keys to do that we haven't gone into super deeply yet, but I wanted to give that to you to help. And if you want to start mastering that, taking it to the next level before we start answering questions here, I would also highly recommend, if you haven't already, taking our free quiz to get the loving, long-term committed relationship that you want, that you can get right now by clicking the link in our description or comments below. Or you could also go to our website, magnetizeyourman.com, and we have the most powerful tools that you can find to step into your feminine power, your feminine magnetism, and learn how to communicate with a man, exactly what to say to a man that you want, to show him that, to bring him to you, as well as the deep foundation of this inner work. And I'll say it's really an inner transformation, because it happens quickly. Once you start the process, we can get you there very quickly, but you have to take that step and you have to have the courage. So that's where it all starts. Click on the link below to get that. And now we will also start answering some questions here today, because I love to do this for our Q&A sessions, and I may start doing this as a weekly Q&A with me as well. So let's see what we have here. We have some comments here. Blair said, nice to see you live. Namfuke said, would you just help me find someone? Sorry, Namfuke, that's not going to be the solution. We just talked about that. If you're looking for the external validation, you're not going to get it. And it's not about finding someone. It's not even necessarily about attracting a man. It's about first attracting yourself, finding yourself. Once you've found yourself and you've attracted yourself and you've built up that feminine magnetism, because you can imagine the difference between a woman on a date, let's say, on a date or in a relationship, a woman who is deeply self-validated, who knows her worth, who believes she is lovable, and is then interacting with a man from that place, versus a woman who doesn't believe she's lovable, who's looking for external validation constantly outside of her from a man to answer that question, am I lovable? And how she would interact differently with a man on a date. One is going to draw a man closer to her. The other one is going to push him away. So you have to start visualizing that and imagining that and stepping into that in order to get the life that you want and the love that you want. So otherwise you can find a man, but you're just going to end up losing him again because you lost yourself in the process. All right, so let's get some other questions here that are coming in. Okay. All right, so Nancy said, I know my ex loves me and I never questioned if I was lovable, but unfortunately I broke up with my boyfriend because the relationship hasn't grown. Now we are both going through the pain of not being with each other. I made that decision, but there is a part of me that I regret it. Yet it feels the right decision. So yeah, so that's, I don't really see the question there, Nancy. It's a good share. And so the good thing is that you never questioned that you were lovable. That's good. And it does make sense that you would want to break up the relationship if it hasn't grown. Now, if a relationship isn't growing, it's dying, as we all know. Life is that way. Life is, if things aren't growing, they are dying. And so your relationship, why would it be any different? Now, growth is different for every person. Growth in a relationship may mean for you that you're simply spending more time together over time. Or it could mean that you're having deeper conversations with each other, getting to know each other deeper over time. Or it could also mean that you are on a spiritual path together, that you are both getting to know God in a deeper way through your relationship and through each other. Could mean that you're working on making a bigger impact in the world together through children, through family, through a business, through a nonprofit, through volunteering at your church, volunteering at your community, or just being an inspiration. Because I believe once you have a great relationship with your man, which you will, especially if you stay here in our community, that you will become the light at some point. You will become an inspiration for other women in your life, whether your children, whether your friends, whether colleagues or family. You become like this sun that starts to shine out and show others what's possible. Show others that they could have a great relationship too, because there's so many hurt people out there. And what's that saying? Hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people are out there hurting each other. Hurt women are hurting hurt men, and hurt men are hurting hurt women. And it's just amplifying the hurt. And that's because they don't have an inspiration. They don't know a better way of doing things. That's one of our big missions here with Magnetize Your Man, is we want to be the inspiration. We want to give better tools to women and to men to create great relationships, especially through polarity and better communication tools and self-development, self-growth, and spiritual growth. And so when you do this work, when you have stepped into your own transformation, you become that inspiration and you start to spread it. You become the change you want to see in the world, and the world starts to change because of you. And if your relationship isn't doing that, then yes, at some point you may need to step away, because why would you want to be in a relationship that isn't growing, that is dying, that you are becoming less connected to each other over time? You are becoming less impactful to others over time, and ultimately less happy with each other over time, likely. And so, yes, it can be hard to make those decisions, but ultimately it was likely the right decision. Now, we would need to go into deeper, what criteria were you using to determine if the relationship was growing? And was there a way that you could have inspired him to want to grow more through feminine polarity and feminine communication? Now, I won't know that. We would have to go deeper and probably do some personal coaching and get some advanced tools in feminine polarity and feminine communication, because the beautiful thing is about polarity, if you want a man to change, all you have to do is change. If you want a man to step up and become more of your hero, you simply have to become more connected to your feminine heart. Your feminine heart is the wellspring of life. The Bible says, guard your heart because from it all of life springs forth. The goodness of life springs forth. Your heart is your feminine core. It's not your body. It's not your brain. It's not your achievements. It's your heart. That's what a man wants, and that's what will change him. When you've stepped into connecting into that, what happens is you inspire a man to step more into his masculine container, to take care of your heart as well, to guard it himself, to be your protector, provider, and hero. And then now he's inspired to grow because of you, because you become more connected. You become that radiant light. He wants to be a better man, not because you told him, not because you tried to mother him or manipulate him or be his teacher or his therapist or his coach. You become a better woman. You become a more radiant woman because you've connected deeper to your own heart. And now he's inspired on his own, and he feels that within himself. I don't know why, but I just want to be a better woman for her. Or he may know why. He just feels like you're an amazing woman and he wants to step up for you. He wants to make you happy. He believes your heart is precious and he wants to take care of it. He wants to grow for himself because you can't tell a man to grow. You can't make a man change. And everybody has said this throughout history. You can't change somebody. You can't change a man especially. All you can do is inspire him to want to change on his own, to be a better man himself. And then he will be. He will step into that because of who you're being. And that's really all you have control over. So why not do that process? So great share, Nancy. And thanks for bringing that up and sharing that with the group here. All right. So Flory said, I just want to ask, how will I know if this is effective? Like first signs. So the first signs that this is effective, the principles that we're teaching you here and the techniques that you're learning and the coaching, is that you will start seeing a man show care for your heart. At the end of the day, all that matters is a man showing care for your heart or is he not showing care for your heart? Remember, that's what a man wants. A masculine man wants to take care of your heart. Now, of course, there are broken men out there who have deep issues, who no matter what you do, they're not going to show care for your heart. And that's why we have our Magnetic Feminine 90-day challenge. So you give a man a chance. You go through the process that will lead you through. You start connecting deeper to your feminine core, your feminine heart, and inspiring a man to change, also through your feminine communication. And then you watch, you observe his responses. Is he stepping up? Is he wanting to help you? Is he wanting to solve problems for you? Is he checking in? Is he wanting to listen to your feelings? Over time, because he may not do this perfectly at first. He may not be used to you being connected to your feminine heart. He may not be used to you being in your feminine energy. So he might be distrusting it a bit. He might be saying, well, how do I know you're not going to be going back to the way you were before? And so he may even test you in some ways by going back into the way he was before, or saying things that may be somewhat hurtful, or pulling away slightly to see what you do. But if you can stay in your feminine queen, your queenly energy, you draw him back to you and he says, oh, this is real. You actually are shifting into your queen. You actually are starting to be a quote unquote high value woman because of the inner healing you've done and the learning you've gotten. And now he starts to actually show that love and care for you, for your heart. He starts to listen to your heart. He wants to help you with things. He's proactive. He's actively asking you what you need, what you desire. He's planning things for the future, planning trips, planning experiences. He's physically affectionate with you. He's checking in regularly. These are all good signs that he's moving in that right direction. We want to see an upward trend. He may make mistakes and he may not do it perfect, but the key is we want to see him moving towards progress, towards the shift in energy and his care for you. So that's how you'll know Flory, and that's what you want to start looking for. We had another share here from Mandy. She said, similar to Nancy, we both loved each other, but just couldn't seem to close the distance physically. He lived in a different country and couldn't get visas here. He wouldn't let me come see him. This was his last text to me. What do you think about it? As for what you said about not being able to just be friends, I understand and I respect that deeply. Your honesty gives me the space to be honest too, and I never want to play with your heart or pretend to be something I'm not. I want us to be real, whatever form our connection takes. I fear I'm just not what you need at this moment, wanting all the things you mentioned. Thank you for speaking from your heart, and I respect you 100%, no matter if we get apart. I will always be there for you, even in my mind. And she said, I took it as a soft goodbye, and I've since learned he is very avoidant. Well, the thing to look for, Mandy, to be very careful of, first and foremost, if your man is international, he lives in another country, then, and he's not wanting you to come visit him, that's obvious red flag. That's an obvious red flag. And I actually consider it a red flag when a man is interested in you who lives in another country, because 80% of the time it's a scammer. 80% of the time, well, you may even say 90% of the time it's a scammer. Now, there's maybe a 5% chance that a man is living in another country and he's actually who he says he is, and he's actually interested in you romantically. Well, then, okay, but then why isn't he stepping up? Why isn't he coming to visit you? Why isn't he even letting you visit him? That's the next big red flag. So first big red flag, he's living in another country. Second massive red flag, he doesn't want you to visit him. What's he hiding? Why doesn't he want you to visit him? Why, like putting in your own effort, your own time to fly to see him? So he may have excuses for that. He may say, well, it's because of this and that, and I respect you deeply, and I will always think about you, even just in my mind. That doesn't matter. You have to look to his actions, not his words, because scammers use words. Scammers use a lot of words. You know what scammers don't do? You know what scammers don't use? Actions. Scammers are not coming to visit. Scammers are not coming to visit you. Scammers are not letting you visit them. Scammers are not proactively showing care for your heart and doing things for you, like sending you money or sending you gifts. But even then, that would be sort of weird as well. Like the basics of forming a relationship is to be able to see each other in person, or at least to talk on Zoom, which I hope you at least did that with him. But even then, it still doesn't mean much if he's not meeting you in person. He may already have another family. He may be having a whole different life that he doesn't tell you about. He may be a criminal for all we know. He may be hiding. So you have to look out for these things and not read into it too deeply. I know it can be painful, especially if you were connected to him for a while and you believed that he could be who he said he was. But you have to let go of the fantasy, because ultimately, if he hasn't come to make that shift in 90 days, and you've used our Magnetic Feminine 90-day challenge, then it's done. It's obviously not the right man for you. And he's obviously either not who he says he is, or he's deeply broken. Either way, it doesn't matter. You as a queen have to be willing to move on. So you have to ask yourself that question: what would a queen do? What would a queen do in this situation? Well, clearly she wouldn't keep holding on to a man who's not showing love and care for her heart, who's not at least willing to take action and back up his words with real physical change. Forget about him. It's over. And then moving forward, the only question in your mind really is a man showing me his care through his actions? If he's not, then bye-bye, okay? He's not stepping up to the plate. He's not showing you that he cares about you for whatever reason. Now, the caveat with this is, of course, you need to use the right tools and the right shifts, because we want to look at you first. Always feminine energy always goes back to you first rather than him. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you desiring? And then how can you share that with him in the right way? That's magnetic feminine polarity, magnetic feminine communication that will teach you how to do that. And then we have to see what he does. We have to see if he steps over time or not. And that'll give you the clues to what kind of man you're dealing with and whether you should move on or not. All right, so I hope that was helpful, Mandy, to give you a new perspective on that. Here we have another long distance situation. Destiny said, my long distance boyfriend and I have been dating for a little over a year. He's recently moved into a tough season of his life and mentioned wanting to step back from us so that he can make his way through it. I want to be there to support, but he feels like he cannot be the best man for us right now. My question is, should I completely walk away, or is this perhaps just closing himself off and I should try to stay near? Well, if he said he wants to step back so he can make his way through the period of his life, with feminine energy, it always starts with this. How do you feel about what he shared? How do you feel about his suggestion? Because those emotions are worth sharing. Those emotions are worth speaking up about. And that's what a queen would do. would share her emotions about that in the right way, in a respectful way, in a trusting way that will teach you how to do that. And we'll give you specific scripts of what to send to him and how to set up that conversation. But you need to have that conversation. You need to be able to share and have a magnetic feminine conversation around what's coming up for you in relation to that. So that, for one, you're showing that you're valuable, that you believe your heart is valuable, you cherish your heart, and you are true to your heart. First and foremost, like the Bible says, you guard your heart and you watch over your heart, because from it, all of the joy of life, the springs of life are flowing from that. So you're valuing your heart first and foremost, and then you believe that it's worth sharing your heart in the right way. And then he's either going to show care for your heart or not over time once you have those conversations. And you should be trained in how to have these conversations, because they're very delicate and they can oftentimes either make the difference between a relationship ending or a relationship moving towards marriage and proposals, etc. So you need to know how to have these conversations. And then we need to see what he does. Is he helping you with that? Is he wanting to be your hero with your feelings and to show care for your heart? Because regardless of what a man's going through in his life, he may have a lot of issues with his health, with his career, with his family, with his dog has gotten diagnosed with diabetes and he has to take care of that, or he has to go get a new haircut for his pet gerbil, and that's putting him through emotional distress. Like, he may be dealing with all these superficial things that are really excuses, but anyways, there could be real things that he's dealing with. At the end of the day, you're inspiring him to be a better man. Him being a better man means, how can I be a hero regardless of what I'm going through in my life? Because let's look at the battlefield. If a man is in war, if a man is on the battlefield, he doesn't have time, let's say the battlefield of life, he doesn't have time to think about, oh, I need some space to go through all these things, or I need to reprioritize my life, or I just need to mull things over. He has to make things happen. He doesn't even have time to listen to his own emotions. He has to act. So a hero in battle, he's acting regardless of how he feels, which is masculine energy, and he's making things happen, and he's taking care of the job. He's taking care of his woman. And if he's not doing that, he's going to get killed on the battlefield. And so this is also his trial by fire as a man, to learn what it takes to actually have what it takes. Remember what I said earlier in this video, that the fundamental question a man is asking himself throughout his life is, do I have what it takes? And so you don't want him to shrink from that, because then you're encouraging him to be a weak man. You're encouraging him to give in to his emotions, to give in to the struggle, rather than overcome the struggle. To ask himself the question, how could I handle this situation and be there for my woman and take care of her heart? And maybe it's not even about you. Maybe it's about, how can he take care of even himself? How can he take care of himself in a way, and and women, let's say the planet, let's say his community, in a way that is empowering, that he's not just a leech on society, but that he's actually contributing to society as a hero. So you want to help him be inspired into his higher self as a man, that he can be a king, he can be a warrior, he can be a wild man, he can have an impact in life, he can make things happen. And so that's why you actually present the challenge to him. Your heart becomes the gateway to him being able to step into a better version of himself, that he can handle things, that he can take care of your emotions, he can take care of things. Of course, he can't take care of everything, but there's little things he can do for you, such as the basics of staying connected to you, of checking in with you, of showing his care for you and his love for you. He can at least do that while he's figuring out these other things in his life. And if he can't do that, then he's not the right man for you. If he really can't get through that and step up when you've used everything that we teach you with magnetic feminine polarity, magnetic feminine communication, you use the right approach, and he still can't step up over time, then he's not the man. He can't handle it. He's not ready for a relationship, because he's a deeply broken man, or he is overwhelmed by the struggles in life, and he's not in his healthy masculine energy, or he's not capable. And he may need to go through that period of time where he has to work on himself to become that man that actually can be in a relationship, that actually can take care of a woman's heart, because he may not be capable of it right now. So those are the two approaches. You have to approach him from your feminine, and use magnetic feminine communication, have that conversation with him, and then over time he either steps up or it becomes clear that he's not the right man for you, and then you have to fully detach. Detach from the outcome, commit to the process. He may not be the right man for you, but that doesn't mean the right man can't come in afterwards. But we don't know what's going to happen until you really engage with that process and you step into your full power as a woman, your full magnetism as a woman. Then we'll see what happens with him. But we need to do that first before we can evaluate. All right. So Mandy had another question, follow up to the answer I gave earlier. She said she decided to say goodbye, which was hard, and it's been 2 weeks. What do you think about no contact? So I'm not a fan of no contact because no contact doesn't typically allow you to be the queen fully and give him a gateway in. Now, what I mean by that is that also the other thing I don't like about no contact is there's an expectation that there's going to be contact at some point. It's like, I'm no contact for now, but I hope I'll hear from him later. I'm no contact for now, but maybe I'll reach out to him in a couple months if I don't hear from him. What I say is when you walk away, you should walk away fully. If you walk away from a man, you should walk away fully, meaning you don't even think about him. You don't feel about him. Now, I know that's easier said than done, which the key for that is to start dating other men, to get out, to start building your social life, to go to meetup.com and find activities in your area where you can start going out with girlfriends or by yourself to start meeting new people. Polish up your online dating profiles, etc. You should be meeting new men and building your social life. You should be building your social life anyways. Even if you are in an exclusive relationship, you should have some other avenues of social connection outside of him because that's a form of self-care and it's part of you filling up your tank as a woman. And oftentimes you can't fully cultivate your feminine energy unless you're around other women. So you need to make sure you're getting around other women, which is why also our communities are so helpful for other women connecting with each other, lifting each other up. In our coaching groups, in our coaching communities, we have our sistership circles that are so powerful for that, to build that connection to your feminine core and fill yourself up and fill your tank up so that you can be overflowing, that the feminine light just starts to radiate from you naturally. So those are two options that I recommend. Either you have a magnetic feminine conversation with him that will train you on, which is not no contact. It's actually sharing your heart with him, or doing some of the other practices that we have, like our big apology process or the appreciation bomb. So there's a couple different things you can do when you have that conversation with him that really can activate him back to full devotion and love for you if he's not a scammer. And then the second approach would be if he hasn't shifted over time, when you've used what we taught you and given you the challenge and had those conversations and sent those text messages to him, then you have to fully walk away. It's not no contact. It's just you fully detaching. You're done. You're moving forward. You're moving onward, over it and on with it, over and upward, forward and onward with your life. And that's it. There's no in between that, because otherwise it's just you wasting more years of your life, wasting more months and years. So, oh, you would travel together. Okay, so she shared we would talk each day, video chat, and would travel together. Okay, so it sounded like you hadn't met him in person before, so maybe I was mistaken by that. Okay, so that's good to know. So he's probably not a scammer, at least, but he's still not really moving things forward in the relationship. So yeah, so that's that. Then the rest of what I mentioned to you would apply, because it's still about him taking action, and it's still about having those conversations and really sharing your heart in the right way. You have to be respectful, and you can't be in your masculine also telling him what to do, or blaming him, or shaming him, or criticizing him, or complaining to him. That's not going to bring him close. That's more masculine energy. We have to shift you fully into the feminine so that we can shift him fully into the masculine, showing care and love and devotion for your heart. All right, so let's see here. All right, so we have another question from Flory. She said, let's just say it's on and off, and I mean sometimes he is okay, sometimes he's not. Like it's not consistent. Like if he wants to be okay, he will, but if he doesn't want, he will just instantly change. Yeah, so inconsistency, that's a problem also. That's a problem that you can share with him about your feelings around that. And then also, if he's inconsistent, that's really a sign of him not showing care for your heart over time, because really him showing care for your heart is about consistently showing care for your heart. It's not a showing care for your heart when he's in a good mood and he gives you some love for a couple days and then all of a sudden he's ghosting you for a couple days or weeks. That's not consistent care for your heart. So that pattern needs to shift. We need to do an intervention to shift that pattern with him. Otherwise, it'll likely just keep continuing. And that's the problem with a lot of the women who come to us, and probably with you listening now, is there's patterns running in your life. You've had men that you've dated when you were younger. You've maybe been married before and divorced. You've had situations that have come up several times in your life. Maybe the theme of men aren't being consistent with you. They're not showing up in a way that you really want consistently, or they're not communicating well with you, or they're not really showing you the love and the care that you desire, or they're ghosting on you, or they're cheating on you, or they are insecure in some way, or they're pulling away, or they're in their feminine, or they're wanting you to be the mommy. So there's a lot of patterns that can come up in your life with men, with relationships. A lot of these are stemming from your childhood and from your early experiences with your parents growing up and early romantic experiences. And then these patterns will just tend to repeat throughout your life. And they will keep repeating unless there's an intervention, unless we actually shift the pattern and we do some deep transformational work and get you into the feminine patterns, the feminine magnetism that's already inside of you. It'll just, if we don't do that, if there's not an intervention, this will just keep continuing over and over and over and over again. Same with your relationship. The pattern will keep shifting because why would it change? If nothing changes, nothing changes. And if you don't change, if you don't connect to your authentic, feminine, vulnerable self in a deep, powerful way, and get into your feminine core and move into the internal validation we talked about, believing you're good enough, believing you're lovable, and the many other aspects that go into this inner transformation that we just will do for you, then it'll just keep going and going and going, just like that Energizer bunny just keeps going and going and going and going, and there'll be more pain and more suffering and more wasted time. So we need to shape the pattern. We need to get you some advanced training, typically, to get this as a solution for you long term. But then the beautiful thing about it is once you've shifted, once the pattern is changed, your relationship will never be the same, and you will never be the same, and your life will never be the same. Like that old Hathaway song from the 80s. Life will never be the same. Dun, 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 dun. Some of you may know that song, some may not. That's sort of an obscure 80s song. But anyways, life will never be the same once you've shifted because you've set a new pattern and now it becomes your new normal. What if your new normal can be men are consistently showing up for you? Men are consistently showing care. That relationships are simple, fun, and easy. That you actually get to receive from a man. That men want to take care of you. They want to invest into you. They want to show you devotion and make sure you're happy. That's a new reality, and that's a reality that's waiting for you on the other side of that change, of that courage to become that woman, to actually make the commitment to yourself to do whatever it takes to become that woman. Because we're not changing who you are. We're actually bringing you back to who you really are. We're bringing you back to your core from the moment you were born that existed before all the wounds, before all the patterns, before the traumas, before the disappointments and the broken trust. We're going to get back to that place because there are a lot of broken men out there who are deeply broken from their childhood and their traumas, but there's also a lot of deeply broken women out there as well. And by healing you, we can inspire him to also become the best version of himself and become a better man, ultimately, for you or for any woman that would be in his life in the future if you choose to walk away from him. But he will shift because you have shifted. That's the law of polarity. The law of polarity says that opposite energies attract. Opposites attract. And so when you become healed, you pull him into his healing because he has to. You become more feminine, he has to become more masculine. He has to, otherwise he's gone. Either he's going to step up or some other man is going to enter the picture and be that man for you. Just like I like the analogy, when you're driving a car, if you get out of the driver's seat, somebody has to drive. So if you get out of the driver's seat and you're sitting in the passenger seat, either your man's going to step up and start taking the driver's wheel and start driving the relationship forward and taking care and leading for you, being the protector, provider, hero for you, or he's not, and you're just going to sit there, and then another man's going to come in. But don't take the driver's seat yourself, because now you're back in your masculine. You're having to do all the work. You may have to go through a period of time that may be uncomfortable, a couple days, weeks, months, or even years. I haven't seen it have to be years, but a period of time where you're in this limbo because you're rewiring yourself to be in the feminine. It's usually not that long. It usually happens in a couple of weeks, a couple of months at the most. But you may have to go through a period of time where your man is shifting, the energy is shifting, and then he's going to have to step up because you're not doing that anymore. You're not going to be the man for him. You're not going to be his mommy or his therapist or his coach. He has to step in and do that for you. So hope that was helpful. And it looks like this will likely be the last question for today. So Robin said, my boyfriend just wants me to go to his house. He says he hates having to drive after work. I'm 64, almost 5 years older, and I want him to come to me sometimes. I don't know how to break it off. Okay, well, those are two different questions. If you want him to come to you more often, that's a different process. And if you want to break it off, that's a different process. Now, I know what you're saying is you want him to come to you. Otherwise, you're going to break it off. So that's where you have to inspire him to do that, because whatever, it doesn't matter if him having to drive after work, otherwise you have to drive to him. Now, the key is, let's throw all that away. All that matters really is you as a woman coming back to yourself. Let's say, what would a queen do, right? You're a high value woman. You have feelings around this. So what is the feelings? What are the emotions? You're probably feeling some sadness around this, some loneliness maybe, some frustration, some confusion, maybe some anxiety. So whatever those feelings are, you need to share that with him in the right way. That's where magnetic feminine communication comes into play. To share your feelings with him, not saying you're making me feel sad, but simply the statement, I'm feeling some sadness coming up, or I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling some sadness. And then for him to be able to witness that and have the rest of the conversation with him about why you're feeling sadness when he asks why, the reasons why, what you just told me, because of the house situation and the stories you may be telling yourself about how he's may not be prioritizing your relationship, or he may just want you to be doing all the driving in your relationship or all the work, which that may be a metaphor for your relationship. He wants you to drive. He wants you to lead. He wants you to invest into him, to be the mommy for him, to be the man for him. And him being in his feminine, just receiving from you, having you come to his house and have sex with him, and he just doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to lift a finger because you're providing it for him. So we have to shift that dynamic where you're in the feminine receiving from him and he's in the masculine. And then that gives him the opportunity to actually step up because he feels your heart. He feels empathy. He wants to change on his own. He's inspired to change on his own. And either he does or he doesn't. And this will depend on two things: how much care he has for you and whether he's a broken man or not. If he's a deeply broken man, he may not be capable of stepping into his healthy masculine. And if he doesn't have any care for you or much care for you, then he's not going to feel the desire to do that, the motivation to do that. But if you are in your feminine and you use magnetic feminine communication, the beauty of that is it will shift him into having more care for you, wanting to connect more, wanting to be with you more, and wanting to do the effort on his own. Because now he feels your heart, which is the fountain, remember, of your feminine energy. Doesn't matter if you're 64, doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what's going on in here, in your heart. That's the core. That's your feminine magnetism. And we need to share that with him in the right way. We need to be vulnerable with him in the right way so that he will be inspired to step up and to drive physically and metaphorically in the relationship. And if he doesn't, when you use our Magnetic Feminine 90-day challenge and you use what we teach you, and if he doesn't step into that role in the 90 days, which I would be surprised by, but then there are broken men out there, he could also be broken. But if he doesn't step into that in the next 90 days, then you have to move on. You have to be willing to step away, because that's what a queen would do. A queen would not continue in a relationship where she is fully connected to her core as a woman who values herself, who believes in herself, who loves herself, and is internally validated. And she's still in a relationship where a man is not showing care for her heart consistently, even though she's brought it up that it's important to her and where her heart is coming from vulnerably. And he hasn't done that, and respectfully, and he hasn't shifted. She has to walk away. You would have to walk away because that's ultimately how you would hold your value as a woman as well. And sometimes that may be the thing that brings him around, because sometimes people don't act until they realize what they can lose or what they had. And then by that time, it may be like, well, do you really even want to be back with him or not? Unless he shows you that he's worth getting back together with, that he proves to you that he's going to take care of your heart this time and not just give you empty promises and empty words. So that's the process. And I hope that was enlightening to you, Robin, gives you a path forward and what that would look like. So if you want to take that path forward, if you really want to master this in your life, again, highly recommend the first step is take our free quiz, which will give you our top recommendation to get the strategies you need, to get the coaching you need, potentially get a plan of action for how to actually win back your man or win in your relationship, have the relationship and the desire and the devotion that you want. All you have to do is click the link below to get that, or in the comments or description or in our bio, depending on where you're watching this, or you can go to our website, magnetizeyourman.com, magnetizeyourman.com to get that as well. So much love. Hope this was helpful today. Hope you got a lot of gold nuggets, and I look forward to continuing the journey with you. I acknowledge you for this journey, and I honor you for being part of this journey, because it's not always easy, but this is where you get everything you desire out of life, and it's actually coming home to yourself. So it's a beautiful journey for you to go on as a woman. I honor you for that. I appreciate you for that, because I know it's going to have a better impact on the world as well once you become this woman, and once you're really becoming connected to your core and inspiring others what's possible. And so let's do it together. I'm excited to walk that path with you, and I will see you on our future trainings very soon. Much love, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.